challenge myself to get through this story for as long as I can without crying, because I don't want to cause emotional hangover, because no one has time for that. So here we go. In a way, I've outlined the narrative of life. Its beginning has so much vitality, it fades out over time, largely depending on lifestyle, environment, social life, love life, purpose in life. I'm reading notes because this is really hard. Also, I kind of want to get through a story like this in not such a charged way. Like, I just want to say it matter-of-factly. So, taking a risk, just reading my notes today. Let's get through this. So, the point I'm trying to make is I've gone from not understanding the point of life to surviving suicidal ideation in 2017 to experiencing ego death via plant medicine. That was in December 2019. And now I've gone forward with my life, and I'm discussing death in a professional and elite hospital setting. And on December 28th, 2020, the conversation about death became personal. So this is where the story will be. A little bit short. In my last upload, I ripped off Tyler Durden. I love Fight Club. In that video, I mentioned that grief feels intense for the first 5 years. Here's a caveat I should have mentioned. The first 2 are particularly the hardest. I've learned that from a really cool Ivy Leaguer colleague. Point being, I'm gonna get some water. Okay, sorry. Point being, I decided to take the first 5 years as an emotion tracker to see how I'm doing now that I had to meet the greatest pain of my life with love. The day I posted my first video marked 8 months since my little one passed. Though I'm devastated, I am fully functional. I have good relationships. I've been able to keep a job. I'm eating well. And I'm still blonde, which I was when my little one last saw me. Emotionally, 8 months after the fact, I'm mostly angry that she's gone. She was a Chihuahua miniature pinscher mix, 13 years old. I lovingly thought of her as my little black Bambi. To me, she looked like the little deer. She was black and tan with the little marks over her eyes. Big brown eyes, and her paws were tan and black with the black claws. Her chest and her torso were lightly complected. She had a very sweet, reserved, and selective disposition. Only few could get close to her. Her diagnoses were diabetes and a stage 4 heart murmur. On the final day, it was heart failure. My grief is complicated for many reasons. The reason she is and will always be monumental in influence to me is simply she was standing next to me one day. And on that day, I needed her there because I was seeing my parents. I come from a broken home, so the phrase I just let out is not simple. There's a lot more than meets the eye there. So I couldn't see them very clearly before. Maybe I will expose that on a video someday. But today, I just wanted to go into the purpose of this video, being that it took me a little over 3 decades and my little companion so that I could finally see my parents as they are and have been presented in front of me, and thereby better understand the true grit that it takes to be yourself, to let go. And for that, I'm very grateful to Missy. Without her, I would have remained like Dale from King of the Hill, who lived in an obviously deceitful household to everyone else but him. So when death came, it took her who was most genuine with it. It's been the greatest pain I've ever met with love. I opened my heart up to the pain because on the final day, she presented an irregular breathing pattern that wouldn't let her comfortably lie down or sit still. Upon arrival at the vet specialist, I could only go as far as handing Missy off to the vet tech. My interaction with the vet specialist was only over the phone because of social distancing. I was asked if I wanted to approve life-saving treatment interventions in case Missy's heart stopped. I said no. I was asked if I had just said no. So I confirmed and added tearfully that I would sign a DNR, a do not resuscitate order. Because I only knew her for 13 years. For all I know, my girl was 16 at most. So I said, please don't crack her ribs or traumatize her body in any way. Please just don't hurt her. After that call, I was told to wait for another call after the specialist was done taking a look at Missy, because at this point I just handed her off and they were just looking at her. So they were asking me if I wanted to approve CPR, and I said no. To save her from any more undue pain that she didn't need anymore. As I was waiting in my car for the next call, Like a Stone by Audioslave began to play on the radio. Immediately, the neurons in my brain started firing off. I turned my head toward the building and realized that a dead man was talking to me at that time. My head knew that the song is about someone sitting in an old house waiting to die. So I tearfully asked out loud, as if talking back to him, "Is that today?" I asked that out loud while I was looking at the old building that Missy was in. And it began to fall. It began to pour raining. It began to pour rain. This is really, really hard. But the day that Missy died, the last thing I did was, while I was waiting for the vets to call me and all that, the last thing I did was I called home to share that Missy was leaving us. I didn't want to call home, but Missy was family, so home had to know. After that, I was waiting for my sibling to arrive so that we could say goodbye to her together. So what I've gathered is the TED Talks were right. We don't move on from grief. We move with it going forward. Something I hear surviving family members say is, part of me died the day that they died. And I understand that completely, because I know that I did. So I've lost sunlight by now. But that's my story about Missy and why this channel was created. When it gets really, really, really hard, I think about how much I love her. And it helps pull me out of the black hole, just because when I think about how much I love her, like, that fills my heart with love. So then my brain says, I love her so much more than I could ever be sad for the loss. So, that little one, she was only like, I don't know, an eighth my size, but that's all it took. That is all it took for her to leave her carve here, So, thanks for listening. Feel free to relate. Your ache may come from grieving over a dog or a person. grief is grief and love is love, and it hits how it hits, and the experience is individual and unique. For me, like, I have never felt shell-shocked or I remember feeling shell-shocked and heart-shattered on December 28th. I was well-versed to pain, like, through dysfunction. I wasn't fazed by problems, within family, relationships, friendship fallouts, all that dysfunction I was very well-versed in. So if there was ever a problem, I kept a poker face because I knew I was so exposed to it. I'm just like, listen, if you want a reaction, you're just not gonna get it from me. So when the grief hit, I had nothing to turn to because, again, I had never been shell-shocked or heart-shattered before. I knew heartbreak, but I didn't know heart shatter. So I think my entire grief reaction is probably a whole nother story. But what made me think I should probably get help sooner than I thought I needed it was I caught myself doing this around 36 hours after she passed. And after I saw myself do this, mentally, I was like, what the hell? I'm not itchy. Why am I doing that? And then I looked at my hands and I thought, oh wow, even you don't know what to do without her, because you don't have to get her food ready. You don't need to grab her snacks anymore. And you don't need to top off her water bowl. So when it came to this, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna need help. So I made a call. So yeah. There's a song by The Pretty Reckless that's named Only Love Can Save Me Now, which I totally adore because it's pretty much Soundgarden minus Chris Cornell, but being fronted by Taylor Momsen, and she does such a kick-ass job. I'll link the song and the video on the comment box below thing or something. You guys know where to find the links, okay? So yeah, listen to that, have fun. You really have to open up your mind and your heart to so much because the pain is immeasurable. I am willing to walk away from my job because of the way they treated me when I asked for support at this time, because my heart is broken. I'm fully functional and everything, and yeah, that's great, but like when it comes down to it, it hasn't even been a year, okay? And I haven't had time for me to get through it. So at this point, it's aggressive self-care and doing only what I want to do and nothing more than that. So again, thank you, Missy. And thank you for watching, and do what you gotta do. Let me know, or someone. Okay? Bye.